Anne the Strengths Detective coming to you again with Duke, my furry friend. Hopefully he's in the shot and I don't just look like I'm petting nothing or an invisible thing. I don't know. But anyway, in order to be a good strengths detective, you need to understand how talents work. Normally when you think of talents, you probably think of things like singing or drawing or being good at a certain sport. And in those situations, those talents usually just show up when you're doing those things. Like if you're really good at talents, you don't have to worry about being in a board meeting or doing a presentation and all of a sudden your mad tennis skills get out of control and ruin the presentation. That's not a thing. Same thing with singing, unless you're one of those annoying people who like to burst into song all day. It just shows up when you want to sing. Now, when I'm talking about talents, I'm talking about Gallup's definition, which is a pattern of thought, feeling, or behavior that can be productively applied. And so if you take in the Clifton Strengths, used to be Strengths Finder assessment, you have your talent themes and you know what those things are. But I don't think you fully understand how pervasive they really are in your life because they're showing up all the time. Anytime you do a project, anytime you walk into a room, talk with a parent, student, one of your supervisees, they're there. Now, certain talents may be more in control at different times, but they're all there. And that's why when you are having a meeting and you think you know what the answer is, or you think you've kind of sorted out what you should do, and other people in the room have different thoughts. And sometimes you're like, oh yeah, I didn't think about it that way. But other times there's people who definitely rub you the wrong way. And you're like, oh my gosh, Becky. Oh, I hate working with Becky. I don't know what it is, but she drives me nuts. She always makes me work too fast or not fast enough. I just always leave the meeting with Becky feeling like things didn't go well. Usually what that is somehow your talents are not getting their needs met. Or one of your talents is trying to run the show, kind of leaving other things out. And to be a good strengths detective, you need to be able to sort those things out. So what I find helpful is to think about your talents as having personalities. I don't know if you've seen the show Inside Out, the movie about all the feelings in the head and they all have their own personalities. Think of your talents the same way because they each have their own needs and wants, their own ways of seeing the world, and a lot of times they work well together. Like I have strategic and ideation, and they're often really good pals because if I'm coming up with an idea, I want it to be a good idea that solves a problem, like the best way to address a certain issue or reach certain objectives. So normally they're pals, but sometimes they don't play well together. If you have children, more than one, you certainly know that this can happen. Like sometimes they can be best of friends, then all of a sudden somebody takes a toy and boom, crazy. Sometimes some of your talents, if they're not getting what they need, they kind of go in the corner and pout. They get upset. For example, people who have includer love to make sure everybody else is included. But if they're not included, not good. So whenever you're having a negative feeling or a negative vibe, stop, look back and think about all your different talents and how are they behaving? How are they feeling? Because when you can start figuring those things out, you can identify the problem and start to make adjustments with that particular talent, with your other talents. You can have communication. You can talk to the other people. Again, for example, Becky, who you hate working with, maybe you have analytical and she has empathy. And so often in situations, she leads with that empathy. So she's very worried about how students or staff or whoever is feeling. And from your analytical brain and your analytical talent, you're thinking, well, that's all well and good, but that's not what the data says. So once you know that that's the problem, and again, often before you step back and kind of think about it, you don't know what it is about Becky that you don't like, but you know you don't like her, you don't like working with her, and it makes you feel icky. So once you realize what that problem is, you can have a conversation with Becky, or even yourself to reframe it. So that way, when Becky's making these comments, you can ask questions that will hopefully give you more information that can help you all come to a conclusion or a decision that helps everybody. So hopefully that was helpful. Again, thinking about your talents as separate entities can be really useful because you can find the problem a little bit more quickly that way. Okay, thanks.